Hello, patriots! You are great Americans, and Lydia and I are so proud to be here with you tonight. We are at a critical moment in the history of our republic. We are at a critical moment because the People's Republic of China has attacked us. As President Trump said on May 6, China's attack on us is worse than Pearl Harbor, worse than the World Trade Center. He was referring to the coronavirus, the China virus, and he was right. As of this afternoon, China has killed 222,641 Americans with this disease. In December and January of this year, we know that the Chinese rulers made decisions to deliberately spread this disease around the world. They knew for at least 5 weeks that the coronavirus could be transmitted from one human to the next. Now, if they had said nothing during that period, that would have been grossly irresponsible. But what they did was engaged in a campaign of deception to tell us that the disease was not contagious. And in this, they successfully enlisted the help of the World Health Organization to propagate this false narrative. Now, President Trump was right to defund and leave the WHO because of this. Thank you, President Trump. To make matters worse, Chinese ruler Xi Jinping pressured countries not to impose travel restrictions and quarantines on arrivals from China, at the same time that he was imposing travel restrictions and quarantines on people inside China. And that meant he thought that these measures would prevent disease. So by leaning on other countries, he thought he was spreading this disease. And that means that this was murder. Now, President Trump, on January 31, quickly imposed these restrictions on arrivals from China because these arrivals on China took a disease that should have been constrained to the middle of China and made it a global pandemic. So on January 31, President Trump took measures to save the American people. Now, he took a lot of heat. He took a lot of heat from Beijing, and he took a lot of heat from Beijing Biden. Beijing Biden called President Trump xenophobic. But because of what the president did, he saved tens of thousands of American lives. Thank you, President Trump. The Chinese attacked us with coronavirus. They're trying to overthrow our government. Let's talk about the closure of China's Houston consulate. President Trump closed it in July. Question is, why did he shut down that particular consulate? Because there were 5 altogether. I think President Trump closed the Houston consulate because it was involved in providing logistical and financial support to violent protesters in the United States. Radio Free Asia reported that an intelligence unit of the People's Liberation Army, China's military, based themselves in the Houston consulate. And from there, they used big data to identify Americans likely to participate in Black Lives Matter and Antifa protests. And then the Chinese military sent those Americans videos on how to organize riots. They used Huawei Technologies and TikTok, the wildly popular Chinese video sharing app, for this purpose. And this, ladies and gentlemen, was more than just subversion. This was an act of war. Now, China is our enemy. We know this because in May of last year, People's Daily, the most authoritative source in China, carried a piece that declared a quote-unquote people's war on the United States. So China means to harm us. And what we have got to do is to start protecting ourselves. So who is fomenting violence in America? Let me hear you say it. It's China. Who is trying to overthrow our government? It's China. And who gave us the China virus? That was. So we must make China pay. And let me hear you say it. China must pay. China must pay. China must pay. And they will pay. President Trump is the first leader in decades to defend America and to make China pay. And that's why the Chinese are trying to unseat him. Now, we know that it's not Russia, Russia, Russia. It's China, China, China. Now, China's efforts to do this has been vicious, and we also know that the Chinese are supporting a candidate in this election. We know that China, during the Democratic primaries, supported Biden over Sanders. They supported him then, and they're supporting Biden now. This means that we have got a critical decision in our country. Recently, the New York Post ran articles alleging that China corrupted Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son, as well as Biden himself. When a CBS reporter on Friday night asked Joe Biden about these allegations, Biden had the perfect opportunity to deny them. Did he do that? Nope. What Biden said was, first of all, he had, quote unquote, no response. Then Biden said that these charges from the New York Post were, quote unquote, a smear. And then Biden went out to smear the CBS reporter. Recently, what we have seen Biden then say, oh, these New York Post allegations, they're a Rudy Giuliani smear. Well, ladies and gentlemen, when you say something is a smear, it's not a denial. It is an evasion. In my book, we are seeing that China has Joe Biden on their payroll, and I believe that nobody on China's payroll should hold elective office in the United States. So Minnesotans, do you want one of China's agents in the Oval Office? Tell China Joe no, and tell Beijing hell no. China's about to place a corrupt politician in Washington. And you, this state, your state, can go either way, which means that you have the ability to prevent China from corrupting the United States by electing Joe Biden. So you know what to do. 4 more years for President Trump, everybody. 4 more years. 4 more years. And let's say it loud and clear. USA, USA, USA. God bless all of you, and God bless the United States of America.